would like to share these reminders, which are very, very basic and significant for our time, to everybody who is ready to consider it and eventually also put it into practice. We need to understand some very basic things about ourselves and the reality. And one of that is that to see that everyone is in their own way seeking to find an orientation in life, to be happy, to find love, to feel loved, to have fun, to enjoy life, to be at home here. The automatic process in us is keeping us preoccupied with our own wish, our own desire, our own longing for the same. So we are busy with what we want. That has a relevance, that is the beginning. But when we are so preoccupied with only what we want and don't see what the reality is, then it becomes sooner or later very disbalanced, very unrealistic. And we are seeing a world where we observe that through this preoccupation with convenience, having it comfortable, having it more easy, having it more practical, we are coming into an approach where we are disconnected to the wholeness of the reality. We don't see what the other is, we don't see what the surroundings are, and we are too much caught in a one-sided view of life. And that is where we need to bring a different quality. When we include the other also in our perspective, and we include the surroundings and the reality also as part of our reality, that is when our vision becomes holistic, a connection to the wholeness, a connection to that what really is. In the practice, you will see that when we start considering the other and look at it with the same interest, the same concern, like our own interest, then it becomes a manifestation of compassion. But it's not a compassion we are just making as a moral process or waiting that now other has to thank us or feeling better that we are being compassionate now to somebody. It's much more a compassion which is coming from your intelligence, a compassion which is coming from your understanding, a compassion where you realize we are one reality. Whether we like it or not, these are basic factors. And the more you bring it in front of your own consideration, the more it will become clear to you. That is intelligence. That is realistic. That is how we need to look That's how we need to learn to reorient. And this word compassion is also interesting because it's coming from the same root like passion. We are passionate about something. We are very energetic when we want something very much. But normally it is connected with what I want, what I don't want, what I like, what I don't like, in this kind of way. But when this passion, this energetic quality, the intensity, also includes the other and the wholeness of the reality, that is when it becomes compassion. And the word compassion is having the same roots also with communion, commonness, communication. Because it is referring to the unity. So compassion is, when deeply considered, a spontaneous aspect of our intelligent living. The challenge for us is to bring these facts of life again and again in front of our inner screen. De-automatize ourselves in such a way that we are not only preoccupied with what we want and what we don't want, but we also look what is now, what is the reality in this moment, what is that we need to consider in this situation, the other, the surroundings. Then you see that it is expanding to compassion, it is expanding to ecology. Ecology, when you also consider carefully, is coming from the same deeper insight, where you realize it is one reality. We are interconnected. We are inseparable, because all what we do or what we don't do has its implications in our surroundings. So, the orientation which I would like everybody to bring it into very careful and conscious consideration is passionately live compassion. Energetically, wholeheartedly, because compassion just as a philosophical attitude is not what is making a difference. Compassion, when you start living it from situation to situation, from moment to moment, by putting it as a priority, by putting it as a step of intelligent living, of creative living, of connecting to the reality the way it actually is. And that is where you see spontaneously that the other is as innocent as you are. The other is as helpless as you are. Because everybody is having to come in terms with life, figure out things. You cannot be 100% sure of something and hold to it and believe that this is so. Life is ongoingly changing. So, to be present to the ongoingly changing life and to answer from situation to situation, from moment to moment, that is a healthy way of living. To make it a little bit more easy to understand, I would ask everybody also to consider another aspect, that is to see how life has created each of us as unique manifestations. No two persons are the same. When no two persons are the same, then when you consider it a little further, you can see the absurdity of comparison. Then you can see how untrue it is when we are comparing and putting some labels on anybody. Then we can see the automatism of judgment. One should not follow blindly. That is not having a right basis. Okay, for playing a game, you need to make a standard, a value, and compare. But if you forget that it is only for a game, it is a relative thing. In the actuality, in the true reality, comparison is not right. It is being unfair, untrue, unkind towards oneself and towards the other when we are putting ourselves or anybody else in certain boxes and fixing in this kind of way. So labeling, judging, comparing, suddenly you will see is coming not from your intelligence but from a habit, from the automatism, which till we are capable to exercise our intelligence, nature has provided a certain kind of orientation, that is inner automatism. But we need to learn not to be a slave of it, but to use it where it can be relevant and put it aside where it is not relevant. So when you can bring these two factors in each situation in your consideration, one is that everybody is trying in their way. In every situation there are factors which we need to consider, not only what comes up in us, but also what is the other's situation and what impact it has on the surroundings. And along with that, consider also everyone is unique, and that comparison, judgment, labeling is very arbitrary, very relative, and basically baseless, false. If you have a courageous way of facing these facts, and if you are going in a sincere way to live your life energetically, intensely, that is what I mean with passionately live compassion. And this is needed now. If you look in the world is getting very disbalanced when more people are not really taking the initiative to deepen their understanding and live from this understanding which is based on reality and not based on some kind of illusory beliefs and concepts which is part of a conditioning. So it is in a way moving beyond the illusory way of looking and connecting into the realistic, true foundation of reality. And that is needed, because that is what will help everybody to find their uniqueness, find the deeper beauty which is in everyone, find that what is called the sacred, the divine in oneself and in the other, and prepare oneself and the surrounding to deal with the challenges which we are facing on the ecological, emotional, and human levels. The economical and the political aspects are the symptomatic factors when this basic factor of understanding and depth is not there, it will not really have an impact. The real developments will come when more and more human beings really take this responsibility, take this initiative, and take this step to live realistically, to live intelligently, to live compassionately. This is possible, this is needed, and this is what will change your own development in life into something more beautiful, more fulfilling, more valuable. And this is how you will also contribute directly and indirectly to the well-being of others who are connected with you and the world at large, the nature, the surroundings, and finally all living beings. Because it's a deeply interconnected reality. That is what is meant when those who have been insightful are reminding that it is a non-dualistic basis. The reality is one, that everything is arising from the same source. It is not enough when we are philosophically and theoretically dealing with it. We need to live it, we need to practice it. And when through our own small steps we bring this understanding and let your life orient to reality, let your life orient to intelligence, let your life orient to that what truly is, that will be very valuable. This practice in every interaction, this practice in every little step which you take, let this be a very deeply determined, energetic way of going in life. That is why I call it passionately live compassion.
Did you already know that besides the life surfing seminars, workshops, and talks, you can also book individual sessions with Bhashkar directly in person or over Zoom?
For that, please contact Noria under the email address or over the phone 0497617 09665. In case you want to write an email, you find the email address in the podcast description.